My name's MJ Bianchi, and I'll get into who I am and what makes me the expert to come in front of you today and talk about career success in 2023. If you have been wondering what it will be like in the job market and how to best prepare, what is it that you need to know, you are in the right place. Most career professionals, what ends up happening is that searching for a job becomes more of a reactionary task. What do I mean by that? Most people will have their LinkedIn account, maybe have a resume on, Indeed, and they get a call, and that resume may not be updated. That resume may not have an updated certification on there that you have received. So essentially, that recruiter is looking at information that's old and outdated, and they ask you questions based off of that. And then they also determine a salary based on your older resume. At that point, the recruiter has already determined in the back of their mind your value and your worth for this job that they've selected you. You can say you've earned certain certifications, but at that point, it might be too late. What if the scenario was that you had prepared and you did have an updated resume online and your LinkedIn account was updated? What would that scenario look like? Now we're talking about a recruiter who's going to call you, who knows exactly what your capabilities are and can determine a salary amount that you know fits your background, experience, knowledge, and key certifications that you have obtained. The key takeaway here from today's training is going to be for you to understand trends, for you to be prepared, and for you to kind of also understand what is the market looking like after COVID. So we hear a lot about employee retention. That's an issue right now with corporations. Companies are unable to keep employees. Most individuals have decided that they're not going to go back into the office. Some companies are doing hybrid. Individuals have decided to open their own side businesses. But I think in 2023, we're going to see something a little different. Those that tested maybe a business are now possibly looking at getting back into a full-time position. So if you're in that situation where you looked at being an entrepreneur and then now you're like, no, that wasn't really for me, I want to go ahead and get back to my corporate job because that's where my passion is. Or if you're someone who says, you know what, I stuck it out a little bit at this company, I know that I'm getting paid below my skills, I know that I'm up for a promotion and they're not giving it to me, I want to know what's coming up in 2023 so I can be ready, so I can get that promotion, get that 20 to 30% increase. If you're someone who is maybe accepted a job recently and you say to yourself, darn it, you know what, I took a job that I knew that I was overqualified for. What do I do now? What's the way out? Can I still get a job out there? Is the market still trending towards, the job seeker? One of the other things I'm watching out for in this live training, or even if you're watching on replay, is your questions, your concerns, areas of anxiety that you're having in terms of looking for a job. So put those in the comment sections, whether you are on Zoom, YouTube Live, put those on there because I'll be able to see it and help support and answer your questions. So as part of this training, here's specifically what's going to be covered. How do you get your resume ready for 2023? What should your resume look like for a post-COVID world, a world where now we have, a new generation coming in who are a lot more technically savvy and know how to do those different artwork on their resume? Should your resume have color in it? What does it need to say in order for an employer or a recruiter to say, this is a person I want to talk to? How do you determine which certifications you need so that you can increase your value? Have you thought about that? Have you looked into certifications that complement your skills or knowledge, or are you just in a certification program or signed up for another online class because a friend told you to do it? So it's really important to understand that alignment. I'm going to cover that. How do you prepare for interviews? Look confident and sound confident. So most people think that, interviewing is all about knowing the technical skills. It really isn't. 50%, or if not more than 50% of interview is all about eye contact and your ability to really connect with the person that's interviewing you. So how do we really do that? How do we sound confident? And how do we look confident? And the last thing I'm going to talk about is really getting ready to go back into the office, building that relationship with coworkers. Are you someone who hasn't been in the workforce for a little while? Are you someone who's built social anxiety because of COVID and you've stayed home and worked right in front of your computer, and most of your friends and colleagues have been, inside of the computer too? So if that is your situation, put a smiley face or put a thumbs up in the comments so I kind of know who I am talking to. But that's the reality. That's the reality of today's world, that jobs, the way we seek for jobs and how job seekers seek us, it is completely different. The last thing you want to do is to be in a situation where you get this amazing opportunity, right? And all of a sudden, you're not ready. You are not ready to interview. You don't know what this job is about. You have no clue whether the roles and responsibilities are aligned with your capabilities. You don't know how much money to ask for. And now you found yourself in a position where your favorite job is right in front of you, but you're not ready. We want to avoid that at every cost. We want to make sure that when a job comes, you're ready to go in there feeling confident, having the right resume, having the right interview skills, and knowing that in order for that to happen, in order for you to be ready, we need to shift some of our beliefs. We need to shift and rethink of how we are going to present ourselves. In this world, you can, a lot of folks think about, that seeking a job or interviewing for a job has nothing to do with sales. It has everything to do with sales. When a salesperson comes to you, they know their product in and out. They know exactly what they're going to sell to you, and they're going to figure out what your pain point is before they even sell you that product. Can you say that about yourself? Do you truly know all the skills that you bring in and skills that you have? Are you confident in the skills that you have? What is it that you tell yourself? What is it that you tell yourself every day about your abilities, your capabilities, and what you can and cannot do? Do you focus more on the can'ts versus the cans, right? So it's really important to see where your mindset is, because I'll tell you 80% of this game of finding a new job is your mindset. Because how many times have you talked yourself out of a new job or out of applying for a new job because you're like, oh my God, no, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I qualify. I know that I'm going to go for something that I'm more comfortable with. So choosing something that you're more comfortable with means that you're not going to have growth, means that you're not going to make the amount of money that you absolutely deserve. And that's a lot of people out there, just really their mindset, their self-esteem, and their confidence is what holds them back from getting amazing jobs out there, working for companies who have so many great benefits today. So let's make sure that you are ready and that we're shifting your beliefs so that you can truly be someone who is going to succeed out there. So going back into the training, the way this is going to work is I'll do the training, and at the end, I will also have an opportunity for everyone to ask me questions. So if you have questions, please feel free to kind of think through them right now, because I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. Again, you can ask them live right now, or if you put it in the comment section, I will make sure that I come back and address them. So our first topic here is getting your resume ready for 2023. What does that really look like? When we think about the new trends here in terms of what's happening and, and also attention spans and who's really doing the hiring, right? And we need to really go back and think about that. And why am I saying that? Why am I saying we need to focus on who's doing the hiring? Because if someone is the person that's hiring you probably has, depending on their age, their attention span is going to be a lot shorter. They're going to look for specific keywords, clarity in your resume, or else your resume will be pushed to the side and they'll pick another resume that's clear, concise, and to the point. So when we talk about your resume, the important thing here is that your resume is clear, that your resume has the right information. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. If you don't have a pen and a notepad, this is the time to pull that out, right? So what does your resume need to have? Your resume first, right on top, should have your name. If you go by a different name, if your name is difficult to say, like my first name's Mahjooba, but I've realized over the years that Mahjooba is not an easy name to read. Once I say it, it sounds easy. So I've made it easier over the years for my clients and customers to be able to address me without feeling uncomfortable. So I've removed that by having individuals say to call me MJ. And that's the first thing you want to put on your resume. By what name should they be calling you? If your name is spelled in a different way that's hard to read, spell it so that when a recruiter calls you, the first thing isn't that you're correcting them by saying, no, this is how you say my name. So you want the communication to be as clear as possible, through your resume, but then also that name exchange, especially for anyone who has a very unique name. So you have your name, you do not need your full address, just email address and phone number. You want to make sure that your name, your email, and your phone number is at the footer of every page of your resume. I cannot stress that enough. Because if the recruiter's on page 3, they still see your name and number. So that is my number one tip here. The secret, if you want to know it, this is it right now. The other thing is the clarity in your professional executive paragraph. What have you written on there? What does it say about who you are and what you do? How are you able to solve the issues of an organization with the set skills and knowledge that you have? Your summary paragraph, focus on it being about maybe 3 to 4 sentences long. Again, the attention span of an adult today is no more than 2 minutes long. So if in those 2 minutes you haven't captured the recruiter's attention, guess what? They're not even going to look at your resume or consider calling you. That first page of your resume, I like to call that your capability statement, that entire bird's eye view of who you are. If you have a whole bunch of gibberish there on page 1, guess what? You're not going to get called. If you have spelling mistakes, if you didn't spell out your acronyms, you haven't said who you are, they can't find your phone number and email address, they're not going to contact you. I have been a hiring manager, and the first thing I see is the resume and how much time someone has spent and really describing who they are. So that's really your first handshake is your resume. So if you're, and then the rest of your experiences, you want to make sure that your bullets are concise and clear. Don't just say, I did X, Y, and Z. You want to elaborate and say, I did X, Y, and Z to accomplish such and such that delivered such results. You want to make sure that your bullet points for each of your experiences are metric driven. It may need for you to spend a little bit more time, and that's where we are preparing for 2023 today and right now. It is hard to get a job out there if you don't prepare yourself. You can get a job, but it just would be accepting the next thing that comes to you. And that's not something that you should accept for yourself. So that's everything around resumes in 2023. Concise, clear, to the point, easily readable. And that first page, if the recruiter or an HR person looks at that first page, they already need to make up their mind that they want you. If they can't within that first page, it doesn't matter how many other pages your resume has. They're not going to look at it. And that's the question I always get. How many pages should a resume be? It doesn't matter if the first page sucks, right? So make sure that first page is great. The second thing here is, what are we trending towards in 2023 as it relates to certifications? Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Certifications are unique in the industry that you work in. And you need to find out and do a little bit of research of what those certifications are. Don't just go become a certified Scrum Master if your industry works in a waterfall approach. Don't get a certification and becoming a certified ethical hacker if you're not even going to be using it. The biggest mistake that career professionals make is, my best friend is getting it, therefore I'm going to get it, or I think this is trending and I'm going to get a job as an ethical hacker once I get the certification. That's wrong. You're not, a certification isn't alone going to get you a job. It's your experience, the ability to explain how you're going to solve a problem at an organization, and then say, I have the certification that advocates for everything else, skills and experience. But a certification alone is not enough. So look at the trends of what in your industry right now, what certifications are beneficial. If you do a research right now, there's major needs for most industries. I mean, almost every company right now is looking for a person to perform certain duties. What will serve you, some general certifications that you can get can always advance your career. For example, one of the ones that's really popular at 3T-Institute that I always recommend is the Pmp Certification Training. Why do I recommend it? Part of the reason is that I've been teaching the curriculum for over 7 years now, and it's general knowledge really from every aspect, from quality management to cost to procurement to quality to just really monitoring and controlling a project from start to finish, starting a project and closing it. That the PMP is a certification that will serve any individual, whether technical, non-technical, whatever industry you're in, that certification is always going to help you. It's an international certification, it's recognized globally, and it's a certification that has a lot of credibility. So there's some general certifications that you can get that will absolutely enhance the experience you have and will come and add to your skills. Yet there's some certifications that will do nothing for you. So be careful and make sure that you're selecting the ones that are going to add to your skills and knowledge. The other thing here is that I want to talk about in terms of certifications is that you also need to know when enough is enough. I have individuals who come to me and they're on their 15th certification. At some point, there is no return to your investment. Having 15 acronyms on your name is not going to give you credibility. Having 15 acronyms after your name isn't going to get you the next job. It really is in your ability to talk about your skills, to interview really well, to holistically understand what you're bringing to the table and what problem you're going to be solving for this employer who's looking to hire you. And some of those certifications might come into play, but at some point, I think employers look at a person who may have all of these acronyms to say, like, what happened here, right? It may also show that there wasn't really any thought behind getting these certifications. So just be cautious of that, because there are companies that just try to sell you certifications, or people buy into trainings all the time. I hope you guys are all enjoying this. If you've just joined, don't worry, this is being recorded. It's also being live streamed on YouTube. Put down your questions. What questions do you have? This training's all about providing value for you. That's who we are about. It's really bringing you the information that no one else does. And if others do, there's a cost to it. So I really, really try to give you information that you can use today. The other thing, the third topic here in our training is how to prepare for an interview where you look and sound confident. And here's what I can tell you that does not happen overnight. You're going to have to fail a few interviews to understand and build that confidence. So it does take failure, which is the stepping stone to success, in order for us to really be amazing interviewers. And interviewing, I don't want you to think about interviewing. What's another word that we can use for interviewing? How about if we say connecting, building relationships, meeting another person, helping to solve another individual's problems, building a partnership, collaborating, right? And that's really what an interview is. Because if we think of an interview just as, oh my God, I'm interviewing, I'm so scared, I hate interviews. What if you think about it, this employer needs someone to help them solve a problem, and I have the skills. I just need to be able to explain that to them in terms of how I can help them. Adding a new perspective to interviewing is going to help eliminate a lot of that anxiety and fear around it. So think about things in a different way, shed a different sort of light around it and say, you know what, I am the expert they need. They have a problem, I have the solution. Let's talk about how we can do that. And so that's the first place your confidence is going to come from, is when you shift perspectives and say that they need me as much as I need them. Let's talk about what that need is. So that's your confidence. And in terms of showing them that you can truly be an asset to the organization, it's learning about the position, it's learning about the company, doing your research, going line by line in that job roles and responsibilities that has been posted, and saying, what evidence do I have that I can create a project management plan? When have I created a project management plan? Which job was that, and how well did I do? So when you're interviewing in an example like that, where maybe the roles and responsibilities says you need to create a project management plan, you're going to look at your resume and you say, at Exxon, I created a project management plan for a research project, and these were the sections. I was able to create it, work with the team. We did draft 1 through 3. And we were able to produce and provide a project management plan that leadership used in order to move the research project forward. So you want to also ensure that in interviews, you're speaking full sentences. And what do I mean by that? You always want to think about a story. So here's a scenario. Have you, really good movies do this, right? You watch a really good movie, there's a solid beginning, there's a solid middle, and the ending is just like, whoa, I love this movie. Like, how many great movies have you seen where you walk away saying to yourself, now this was a great movie? How many times have you gone and watched like a really terrible movie or a terrible show? The beginning didn't really make sense, the middle didn't tie to the beginning, and the ending, you're like, wait a minute, what just happened here? It just didn't make sense. So when you are interviewing, you need to practice. Practice makes perfect. No one is good at interviewing. No one's good at interviewing. This is a skill that you build. You need to interview with your houseplant, interview with your pet, found a child, find a significant other, a parent. Continue to interview. Stand up with confidence. Make sure your voice is strong and that you're not using filler words like, huh, and so on. So careful that those filler words, and you can tell whoever you're practicing your interview with to give you feedback. It might be hard to receive that feedback, but it will save you a lot of time. So again, interviewing is something that you have to practice. It's not inherent to us humans. It takes practice. And once you practice it, you will be very good at interviewing. I hope you guys are still enjoying this training. I haven't seen anyone drop off yet. I did see a few folks joining. Our last and final topic here for the training is how to get yourself ready to go back into the office. If you're someone who's entering the job market, maybe you haven't been in the job for 2 or 3 years, or if you're someone who has been working, in the COVID world and you've been virtual and now you have to face colleagues and you're not sure if your social skills are really up to par, let me give you guys some tricks, right? Let me help you transition back to the world that we are transitioning in. And that's the trend in 2023. The trend in 2023 is that most companies are going to ask individuals to come back into the office. They already have, And more of that is going to happen in 2023. One of the first things is that, the ability for us to connect with others and be cordial with others or feel confident is for us to feel good with who we are and accept who we are as we are, right? Because change doesn't happen when we complain about our looks, our weight, whatever it may be. That doesn't happen. The first aspect of confidence is accepting ourselves as we are. So take a moment to do that. The way you are perfect. Can it be improved? Can it be beyond perfection? Absolutely. But at this moment, in this moment in time, you are perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the way you sound, look, even if you have, even if you feel that there is. Accept yourself as you are, because there's beauty in that. And once you accept it and say, I appreciate who I am, but I know that there's work to be done and that you're open to opportunities and that those opportunities will come or possibilities will come, then work towards those, right? If you say to yourself, I need to drink more water, do that. If you're saying, you know what, I need to stop eating cookies and I need to grab a salad, do that. If you are catching yourself where you say bad things about how you look or how you feel or how you can't do something, in that moment, stop yourself and say, what if I said something that I can do? So maybe let's take a moment right now in the comment box, put down one thing that you are good at, whether it's cooking, being really good at, organizing, something really small. It doesn't have to be huge, but a compliment is a compliment. And when we compliment ourselves, something changes in our system, our hormones change, and we are really able to now get a little bit more recharged and feel positive. And so why am I saying this to you? If we're talking about going back to the office, again, if you don't feel good about who you are and you are used to talking down to yourself, you will never feel good about meeting another person, because you're going to say, that person's judging me. That person feels the same way I feel about myself. So if you stop judging yourself, you're going to know that others aren't judging you as well. They're not judging you. So the fact of going back to work is removing that anxiety, removing the judgment, being kinder to yourself, accepting ourselves as we are, and knowing that going into the workplace now is a positive place. It's a place where you're going to meet colleagues, collaborate, have discussions, be able to network, have people to see your beautiful smile, your wonderful energy. There can be someone who's coming to the office and they feel down. You can be a source of positivity for them. There might be someone who's on the verge of a possible breakdown, and they're waiting for you and your energy to come in there and help them and uplift them. So there's so much in the human connection, especially in the human connection that happens face to face, and the handshakes to the hugs. There's something that happens to the human body. And when we connect, we can change the world. We know this. So the fear of going back to the office starts with the acceptance of oneself. So don't have that fear. Embrace the change. Welcome the opportunity. There is, of course, the issues around commute that a lot of people have concerns with. Oh my God, this is going to add an hour and a half to 2 hours. Well, that's where you need to be really diligent or cautious in the sort of jobs you're selecting, and making sure that you're not selecting a job that's an hour and a half away, no matter how much it pays you, because eventually that is going to become a source of problem. So a lot of times, individuals, career professionals accept positions knowing that the job is an hour and a half away because it pays them $40,000 more, but then 6 months later they have burnout. So let's not put ourselves in that position. And trust me, when you learn to say, these are my limits, what you want will come your way. So don't allow that fear to tell you that, oh my God, if I don't accept this job, am I going to get another one? You will. You absolutely will. And the last part that I'm going to address in terms of going back to the office, if you are having this conversation with a recruiter or HR, is to be very transparent. You can say to them, look, this is a job I want. I know that I can make an impact. However, right now my schedule allows for twice a week in person and 3 times a week remotely. Is that something that the organization is considering? Would they consider it? What's the worst you can hear? No. No, we want our staff to be here in person. Well, thank you very much. I guess this opportunity isn't for me. And you're done. So standing up for what it is that you want and don't want is going to give you so much more clarity, but then you're also not in this limbo land of do I, should I? And you can look at the benefits of going back into the office full-time or staying remote. I'm not sure of everyone's situations. I personally love going into the office 3 days a week. If I could make my ideal schedule, 3 days a week into the office, 2 days a week at home. Hopefully those 2 days a week are Mondays and Fridays. Perfect. Lovely. You know, I get to have my connection. I get to be the sunshine around people, uplift them, make some connections, some hugs, some handshakes, look at people's smiles. You know, what brings you happiness? I think human connection is key, and we're going to see that in 2023. A lot of organizations are going to want individuals to come back into the office. So that was our last and final topic here on the training. And I do want to say to everyone that it's good that you want change, but to change means that today, at this moment, right now, you're going to work towards that change and choose different for yourself. And choosing different for yourself means, what is it that you need to be prepared for 2023 in terms of your resume, interview prep, confidence, and just solid career alignment? If all of that makes you dizzy and gives you a headache, then consider possibly having a career coach that can help you through all of that. And if that's something you're interested in, let's have the conversation. You can put coach in the chat box or the comment section, or message us later on and just let us know if you think that you need a coach to help you stay prepared in 2023 so that you can make 20 or 30% more a year, so that you are confident and that you do align yourself for a position that's going to set you up for success. And you know that that's going to be hard to do it on your own. Then maybe a career coach is someone who can help remove some of those roadblocks. And, you know, for me, I'm standing here in front of you, speaking confidently as a career coach, as a business owner, as someone who has struggled through some of the items that I talked today in terms of the training. I've had mentors and coaches who've helped me. And without them, I would not be who I am today. And I probably wouldn't be as confident of standing in front of this camera right now, teaching you and telling you the knowledge I'm sharing. So we all need someone to help us. And if that's you, put down coach and I'll reach out to you. But at this time, what I'll do is I'll open up the lines. I know there's folks right now on Zoom. So here's what we'll do. Go ahead and raise your hand if you can. That's under the reactions button. And I'll come around and answer your questions. Mahi said she's good at cleaning and organizing. I love cleaning and organizing. I think I cleaned like a whole bunch of drawers yesterday. And Nav is saying the same thing. Nav, hi. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, Mahjooba, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Every time you hit on what I need. So, this is what I needed to hear, and you're on it as always. So I had a meeting, so I joined session late. Actually, my project is ending next month. So you mentioned some certifications. I missed that part, except PMP.
Yeah.
Did you list specific certification, or you were just talking in general?
So since I know your background and I know that you come from an IT project management background, I can tell you that the certifications that you currently have, including the PMP certificate that you received through 3T, is enough for you to set yourself apart and to ensure that you continue to get offers that are aligned with your skills. Now, we know, right, we do still have to get that PMP acronym after your name, and you're working towards that. And you'll notice that many more doors will open for you, especially in your field, once you are completely certified. In terms of the comments I made there is I'm giving people a little bit of a warning to be careful that they don't overdo the certifications and that the certifications are aligned to their industry. Just because someone did an ethical hacking course and they loved it, and you may love it too, but if it doesn't align to your career, you're wasting time and money on something that's going to have no return on your investment.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And I'll reach out to you, Mahjooba, for coach assistance.
Yes. I have another class coming up in September, so let me know.
All right. Thank you.
All right, dear. Dina, please go ahead.
Hi. So on the same subject of certifications, you really did hit the nail on the head. I was taking part of an interview, and I put everything on my resume that I've done just so that I could say, hey, I've been doing things. I didn't want it to look like, I wasn't still being active, even though I was out of the workforce. And so the question that the hiring manager asked me was sort of like, well, what was your goal with attaining all these different, taking all these different courses and taking all these different classes? And I literally had not thought of that question because, I had data analytics course, I had a UX design course, I had, and I was like, I had nothing to say at that moment. But it's really, I think what you're saying and what I'm, getting is make sure it aligns with who you want to be. Even though you've taken a course before, it doesn't have to sort of go on the resume. Like it could be just for your enjoyment and just for your own personal knowledge. And, just sort of like be clear about what you're going towards and put those items on there. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And I think you touched on something that I hadn't mentioned in terms of having targeted resumes. Yes, and if you're applying for a job that does not require a UX certification, you don't have to necessarily remove it, but you could add it on the last page of your resume and say other certifications obtained. And so that way the recruiter, and it doesn't take up space on that first page, because you do want your resume to be very targeted to the industry that you're applying to. Yet, those other certifications or training courses are fine. Just put them further down. Or if you feel like it's not needed at all, then remove it altogether. If the topic comes up about education or knowledge, feel free to share that with the manager. But yes, sometimes we are caught off guard with someone saying, well, your title is such and such, and you have this degree or you have these certifications. What were you looking to do? So yes, that is something I would ask as well if someone was to interview with me. But great question there. Yes, keep it targeted and focus on what you're adding on that first page. Is it targeted towards the job you want to be in? Because that first page is going to be very important. Great question, Dina.
Thank you.
Thank you. Two great questions. Anyone else? Anyone else have thoughts? I don't think anyone's on YouTube asking questions. I'm looking right now. Sometimes people do, and I'll get an alert, but I haven't gotten one yet. Nope, no questions on YouTube right now. Any other questions? Any thoughts anyone wants to share? Anything? Share anything if you want.
This is up.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone was going. I have a question regarding the job market in relation to the recession. I know it's not happening anytime soon, but I've never had an experience where recession recession is ongoing. I was in school the last time it happened, and so what should we do? I guess, I mean, what type of action should we take on just to prepare ourselves, in terms of abroad job applications, or just looking out for opportunities when we get into that position?
Yeah, that's a great question. So layoffs can be a possibility during the recession. There's some industries that are just they're recession proof. The federal government, I would say if you're a federal government contractor, you're pretty much okay as long as there isn't the budgets are being approved. People in the government contracting industry are okay. Healthcare, if you work in healthcare, health IT, you're pretty safe. That's recession proof. The areas that are going to face possible recession or will see an impact of layoffs is really anyone in possible construction, transportation, and so that's where I'm seeing a little bit of issues with there may not be many jobs right now in the market, and that's future trending. And I don't know, I mean, there's with elections and everything like that, things can change, but how can you be ready if a recession hits? I love that question. One of the things that you want to do is be careful that your resume is not too general, right? And so you can have many different formats of your resume. My recommendation to you, Mahi, would be to make sure that your current resume has a solid description of what you do and the skill sets that you have. In the last 8 years, Mahi has done X, Y, and Z and is an expert in project coordination, working on such and such project, delivering this particular result, right? Be sure that there's clarity in what you offer. And then just have that resume. Be sure your resume is ready. And what I would do right now is look at the kind of job openings that companies have and test it out. Like if you think you're currently safe and you're happy in this company that you're at, then you're okay. You don't really need to do anything to look for a job. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't update your resume. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't look to see what other companies are hiring for. But be careful. I haven't done all of my research on recession and specific industries, but we see the market and we see, transportation is an issue right now because of high gas prices impacting a lot of shipping, construction. There's materials that are not enough. So say if you are a project manager in construction, is there really a job there? Because if you're waiting for materials, then there are project delays. So what does that mean for project managers in construction right now? So just take a look at that. But as long as you have your resume ready, and the other part of being recession ready is your network. How many people are you connected with? How many people know what Mahi's doing right now? Are aware that you're working on a job? Have you reached out to former colleagues? Ask how they're doing. Part of being recession, avoiding the recession is your network. Solid relationships. Almost every job that I've ever gotten has been because someone knew my skills, and they went to their HR and gave them my resume. Who do you have in your circle? And that's how you're going to make sure that you're always going to have a job. Your circle, your network will always protect you. And if you don't have a solid network, you don't have people who know what you do, then it's time to showcase that.
Those are good points. Thank you, Miriam.
Of course. Great questions. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank every single one of you for joining the live training today. Part of me, I love knowledge. I love sharing my knowledge, and I try to share knowledge that's truly straightforward and authentic, and not hide certain things because of one reason or another. I always try to bring you information that you can use right now, today, in making sure that you have you are successful in your careers. For me, the 17 years of working on projects, being a business owner for the last 7 years of that has taught me a lot. And one thing that I've learned in all of my experience in working with people and starting a new business is that you have to control the fear that brings up. And I feel everything you all feel. I feel anxious, I feel fear, I feel self-doubt, I have days of low self-esteem, but those are just feelings at the moment. You don't have to hold on to them. You can allow them to come and you can allow them to go. And that's the difference between someone who's successful and someone who stays in the current place that they are forever. It's really how we manage those fears and say to them, you know what, you're not real. So pay attention to what you're saying to those fears. Thank you for joining the live training. I should have another live training up probably in the next 2 weeks. Watch out for that. And then hopefully I'll see you guys then. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.